Okay. So we're here today with our guest Heather Boyd, who is an entrepreneur and an artist and specializes with wire art, jewelry making, has a bit of a following on YouTube with her videos, DIY stuff, and a business making wire art for cake toppers. So welcome, Heather.
Thanks so much for having me. It's
My
exciting.
pleasure. Yeah. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit at first how you find your inspiration in your work and maybe if you can even dig back in your brain as to how you got from all the various artistic things you do into this specialized niche that you now have with your business.
Okay, well that's a loaded question,
Yeah.
and it's so fun when you as soon as you said think back, I automatically thought of my most creative projects that I've done. The things I'm most proud of is actually the work I did when I was a kid. In
Oh,
my
wow.
preschool art, because my
Huh.
mom always fostered creativity in her kids. She was a nurse and a music teacher, but she also just loved art and creativity. And I remember at a very young age, we had these powdered paints
Mm-hmm.
that she would keep in the dining room drawer. I remember it specifically. And then one day, I guess she gave me these paints, and I went to town with them and made these paintings. I probably was like 3 or 4 years old, and I would fill the whole paper with these paints and make
Hmm.
these really abstract images. And then, of course, my mom kept all of our artwork.
Wow.
So years later, I pulled out these works and I thought they were really cool, so I laminated them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I actually submitted them in an art show. I studied fine art at the University of Guelph.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yes,
cool.
yes, fine art
Yeah.
and consumer studies, so hence the marketing.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so on a whim, I entered these paintings in an art show, and I actually won a prize with one of my preschool paintings.
Wow.
And I called the series a preschool child's creativity or something. I don't remember the exact title. It was something like that. And I remember when one of my teachers came up to me and said, "Oh, congratulations! It was a nice little piece that won, because one of the pieces won the show." And I said, "Oh, I did it when I was 3." And he was like, his jaw dropped, and he was a little. But I thought that was a really interesting, it's a kind of social experiment. And so my whole life, I've been
Wow.
trying to get back to that creativity that I had as a preschool child.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, it's
My
people think it's a
goodness.
cliche that kids' art is beautiful, but it's more than that. They're just so pure and so
Yeah,
creative.
there's no filter.
Yeah,
There's no self judgment or blame or shame or anything that's come into the picture or
e-
criticism.
exactly,
Do you remember
exactly.
much about executing them even at that young age?
I don't, honestly. I
Yeah,
don't. Like I said,
pretty hard.
I remember the paints. I
Mm-hmm.
remember having access to the paints, but I don't remember actually creating, because I probably was 3 or 4 at the time, so I don't remember actually creating them. And
Yeah. Did you draw and paint your whole childhood?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of arts and crafts and a lot of building things, making like little toys and collages. And so I think that's why I really got into the DIY,
Mm-hmm.
like showing do it yourself, like showing people how to make crafts. And when I started my YouTube channel, actually I had mostly arts and crafts. So I had like a gun that shoots hearts made out of cardboard, and then a whoopee cushion made out of a sponge, and
Oh,
these are my older videos on YouTube.
wow.
And then when I realized, from an entrepreneur's point of view, that I needed to step it up a notch and kind of have a niche
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, that's when I started actually specializing in jewelry, and then I niched it down even more, and now I specialize in wire art and jewelry on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Wow.
And since I've done that, my views skyrocketed, and now it's like up to over 1 million views on YouTube, which is
Wow.
crazy.
That's amazing.
But that's all about like focusing on your strengths, on your niche, and then it just took off.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
That's incredible.
it's really fun. I just love it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, what did you do between, let's say, the University of Guelph and starting your business? You must have tried a
Yeah.
lot of creative ideas.
Yeah, no, that was quite the journey. So
Yeah.
I did my first job was a graphic artist in Toronto. I worked for a corporate neckwear company, designing neckties for like McDonald's and all these
Oh,
like
wow.
companies.
What a
so,
gig.
so that was my gig, but it was I hated the 9 to 5. My
Yeah, okay.
boss was a nightmare,
Oh,
and
no.
so that's when I said, look, I can't do that. And then opportunity knocked to move to Montreal. I got a sublet of an apartment in Montreal, and I decided to move to Montreal and sell jewelry on the streets.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I didn't speak French, but I somehow managed to go to the city. I got a permit for $50 to sell on the street.
Wow.
And I started selling in Old Montreal and Phillip Square and all over.
Oh, so you were right
And,
in the heart of the tourist.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What year did you arrive?
That was 89.
Wow, I got
1989.
here 2 years after you, and I was down around there.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's so
We
funny.
probably walked by each other. And
Yeah.
maybe you stopped by my kiosk.
I
at the
probably
Phillip
did.
Square. That's hilarious.
Because that was, back then, that was still pretty new, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
You
and
know,
it
we didn't
was-
see so many street vendors, I don't think. It was sort of unique to Old Montreal, no?
It's Old Montreal and then Phillip Square across
Okay,
from the
right.
bay.
Right,
There was
right,
a group there. Prince Arthur was hopping then. That
Yes.
was like sort of at the nightlife, like you would go there at night.
Yes.
And
I remember
actually,
that.
my husband, who at the time was making little wire bicycles
Okay.
on
Oh,
Prince
so
Arthur
he's been
Street.
doing this a long time.
Yes, yeah, and that's how I got into the wire because I met him randomly on the street in Old Montreal, and he didn't speak English and I didn't speak French, but he handed me this piece of wire just for fun. He was standing beside me selling, and I made him a little like penguin or something out of wire and handed it to him, and he fell in love, and it's like woo! I took his card, and the rest is history.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cute.
Yeah, and then I ended up making like little bicycle things and little custom-made wire things.
And did you work together on the street?
Not on the
selling?
street, but we started to do craft shows together, and then
Wow.
I did wholesale. Like I was selling to art galleries across the country and in the States, and it was big for a while, like doing a lot of wholesale stuff.
Okay.
And
And that's with the
with
bicycles?
the wire, yep, making wire bikes, like little earrings,
that long?
little.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
okay.
so it's been like
Oh, I
I
had
met
no
him.
idea how many years it was.
It's almost 30 years that
Wow.
I've known Mark and that I've been making the wire jewelry. So
Oh my gosh.
It's
I
a
didn't
long
know it
time.
was that many years. For some reason, I thought it was under 10.
no,
I don't
oh
know
God,
why.
no, this is a long time, and it's
Wow.
we've had ups and downs. Like I've had periods where I've worked in daycare and I was doing kids' birthday parties and cleaning jobs and just with economy and just lifestyle. There's been ups and downs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever done the special shows, the one-of-a-kind shows or the Salon de Métier d'Art? Because they're so precise.
Yes.
People,
Yeah.
people's niches.
I haven't done those big shows. The biggest one I did was one called Signatures, which was sort of like one of a kind, but we tended to do more like folk festivals.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, those I found inspiration there because it's a music festival. So I would be doing custom like guitar earrings and
Oh, yeah.
this and that, and plus the pleasure of listening to the music at the shows as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Which was really great. Which is actually something we spoke about when we talked about doing this podcast. Was where do we get inspiration?
Yeah.
And one of the big ways I get inspiration is just going out and listening to live music,
Yeah.
going to live comedy, going to art shows, and that's a huge part of what I do. I love to do, but also indirectly, it's a investment in my creativity,
Yeah.
which is really amazing.
So, like,
Yeah.
in what way does it inspire you to keep doing what you're doing? Like, it just gives you the juice to keep making this,
Yes.
keep the business going, or does it inspire brand new things that you end up going off on a sideline? Or
Yeah, I would say it definitely inspires new designs, like in the wire. Like I'm just trying to think of an example, but definitely when I go out, say I want to make a gift. Here's a prime example. I went to what happened? I came across on Facebook a guy. His name is Adam Susser,
Okay.
and he's a Montreal comedian. And I think I had been to see him before, but I didn't. I don't always remember the names.
Mm-hmm.
And then he posted a video on Facebook about him trying to get hamburger earrings, or no, hamburgers. Sorry, not earrings. It's on my mind. He's trying to get a hamburger named after him at Notre Boeuf de Grasse.
That's funny.
Okay, so he did this really silly video. It was super funny, and then I thought I wanted to connect with him, so I messaged him and I said, "Oh, that's cool. I liked your video. Are you going to be performing in Montreal at all?" And then he said, "Oh, he's going to be performing at Comedy Nest." So I jotted down the date and we went to see him. But a couple days before we went to see him, I had this flash. Oh, why don't I make hamburger earrings for Adam as a gift? And so I worked out the whole design. You know, I cut a bead in half to make the bun, and I made bacon out of wire and all this stuff.
Wow.
And so I made this just for fun, you know, and there's with no like monetization or anything in mind, just for fun. And then I brought them to him that night, and he loved them, and he put them on, and he took pictures. And so to me, going to these events, meeting these people, there's just so many creative ideas that come from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love
especially
it.
with other creative people, the brainstorming can be pretty high.
Yes.
When it's collaborative, eh?
Definitely. No, I just love it. And I love the challenge too of working out new designs. Like my husband, he's more into like the technical side of mass producing. So he'll mass produce these bikes for the cake toppers and things like that. Whereas I thrive on custom design. So I'm always asking people, please send me photos or sketches of what you want done. And sometimes, you know, I kick myself because it gets a little complicated, but it's always worth it.
I was going to say, what's the most elaborate one that you ever did?
Probably the most elaborate are motorcycles.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
my God. Yeah, I can imagine.
I did a motorcycle pin.
Wow.
And actually that was a funny story because I met this guy at a shopping mall. Oh, probably 20 years ago. I used to set up in malls as well to sell. And so he came by and he asked for a motorcycle. He wanted his Harley, right? As a pin. And so I went home that night. I made the pin and arranged next day to meet him. So he came back the next day to get the pin. And he picked it up and he looked at it and he said, "That's not a Harley."
Oh, whoops.
And I'm like, "Oops,
Oh, no.
I'm sorry." And I said, "Well, why don't you bring a picture of your bike?" So he went home, got a photo of his bike, brought it to me, and he pointed out, "Oh, the Harley has this V-shaped engine in it."
Oh.
I'm like, "Oh, I wouldn't have known that." So,
Yeah.
but now I know, right? So I remade it for him with the V engine. And then now when I do, because I now make cake toppers with Harleys on them too.
Yeah.
And so now I know exactly to do this V engine because I learned the hard way.
That's great.
It's fun though. Yeah, I love it.
And what would you say is one of your most recent inspirations? Something you haven't done yet, or that you'd like to do?
Well, I know one thing I've done a couple was making portraits out of people out of wire.
Oh, wow.
So I actually...
That's interesting.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago I made a portrait. We went down to LA for just a vacation, and we went to see Jimmy Kimmel. So we got tickets to go see that. And before we left, I made his portrait out of wire, just for fun.
Did you give it to him?
Well, I tried, and I really wanted to, but
yeah.
security was like, "No, we don't take any gifts.
Oh,
you can't
really?
leave it.
You can't mail it to him, eh?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Maybe I should mail it to him. I mean, it's been a couple of years, but
yeah, that's a pretty
cool
gift.
I should try to mail it to him.
Yeah.
But so then after, like a few weeks ago, I did Ellen DeGeneres out of wire, but I did like a live stream of me making this so people could see it. And so that's something I want to do more of, is do more portraits. It's hard to get them to look realistic. Like I wouldn't say, like the Jimmy Kimmel one wasn't bad. The Ellen didn't super look like
You'd
her.
have to pick very specific kind of faces to get that signature nose or something, I don't know, or whatever.
It's true. It's like caricatures. Eh?
Yeah.
Like it's maybe actually that's
like
in
caricatures.
talking. That's a good idea. I should study how people do caricatures because it's really more like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to exaggerate parts of them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining it must be really hard with Like wire must be a hard medium anyway
It is,
to
yeah.
get it precise.
Yeah, it's tricky, and also the trick is to get it done with one continuous line, you know, and to like say for a face, like it's pretty well impossible just to do like a happy face because you can't like lift the line, and it has to be one continuous line. So that's a little bit tricky, yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm always being challenged creatively with that.
Yeah, and technically too, I imagine, because if you're twisting and bending the wire, I'm sure there must have been lots of years of it breaking or
Yeah, definitely.
you're saying one continuous wire. I'm like, wow, that's adding a whole other layer of skill.
It's exactly. Yeah, it makes it really tricky. And although sometimes I do add, like if I want to put other colors or thicker wires, I definitely can add pieces, but still you want it all to work together as a kind of continuous line. So
Yeah.
it's tricky. And then something else I've done just in the past few years was I actually combined wire with painting because painting was my first love, of course. And a friend of mine, she opened a gallery in Point Claire. It's been 10 years now, the Viva Vita Gallery. And I was one of her first artists, and she commissioned me to make her some original art cards for the shop. Because at the time she would only carry just like the original cards. And so because of her special request, I found a way to be able to make cards with wire. So I did like a background with watercolor, abstract, and then I would make like a little figure, something out of wire, and then I actually found a way to like
Sort of dangle it.
stick it, like actually like poke holes in the paper and stick it on.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that was, thanks to her that I got that inspiration to do that. And then now when I do workshops, I've taught people how to make them as well. Something like that. And I have some videos on YouTube like to show people how to do like kind of a scrapbooking type of thing, like taking scrapbook paper.
Oh, that's true. Is that craze still going or not so much? Because that was so big for a while, eh?
I think it's still going to a certain degree. Like there used to be scrapbook shops, but I think a lot of those went under.
Okay.
Although you can.
Or those Michael's stores just took it all over,
yeah,
right?
I think Michael's took it over. So like even in the dollar store you can get scrapbooking
Yes, that's
material.
true. Yeah,
for sure. But I think there's still scrapbooking is still fairly popular, but more popular are these art journals.
Oh yeah.
Which is sort of the same concept where people get like a blank sketchbook and glue like paintings and embellishments and things in and do quotes, and it's like there's even magazines devoted to art journaling.
Really?
And
Wow.
websites and Facebook pages, and it's a really big thing because it's sort of like taking scrapbooking up a notch, making like infusing it with more artistic mixed media type things. And
Yeah. Wow, I hadn't heard of that. That's great.
yeah, there's some beautiful ones. Some people even do
Yeah,
like
sure.
fabric things that they can stick inside. And yeah, it's really, really beautiful stuff.
And what about the jewelry side of it? Like, because that could be so elaborate. Did you go? Yeah, I mean, there's so much jewelry you can be inspired by. Like, what?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, I tend to do the same type of jewelry, like more like little icons from the wire, like little bikes and cameras and things like that. But I do have a line of jewelry that I made again for the gallery that was more one-of-a-kind pieces, like crocheted wire and sterling and glass and which I like doing, but just because time-wise I don't have a lot of time to devote to that. I mean, I would really have to devote like more time and just focus on that if I wanted to expand doing that kind of art jewelry, and I would have to charge a lot more because these pieces can take hours and hours of time.
And wouldn't a lot of those also require more soldering or stuff like that?
Probably some more.
Like I'm just thinking if you start setting in gemstones and stuff.
True, yeah. Which I've done, but I think I don't enjoy that as much because I like the quick creative process. I like being able to make something quickly, like having the vision and being able to make it in a shorter amount of time. Yeah, definitely.
I understand that.
And because I love drawing, just working with wire is perfect. It's like drawing with wires.
Yeah. I saw something you're making me think of. They don't have the magazine anymore, but it was called Fiber Arts.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And they had one thing that was wire. Somebody had taken a broken fence, just a regular chainmail fence around the parking lot. And I don't know whether they did it with string or with wire,
Okay.
but they crocheted right into the fence all around this parking lot.
Interesting. I think
Yeah, I
I've seen
find that kind of stuff super inspirational.
Yes.
The installations
Yes.
or things in a different place, they're different medium than you'd ever
It's true.
expect.
It's true. Well, that's like that art or yarn bombing.
Yes, the yarn. Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
big
And
too.
people knit sweaters around trees. And,
Yes.
yeah, there was one that was huge scale. I don't know whether it was yarn, but it was definitely heavy strings or ropes, and again a crocheted sort of tornado-like
Oh, wow.
funnel-like shape, and it hung between buildings.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, it was, and I just look and go, how the hell?
Yeah.
Do you even fathom the proportions and
Yeah.
the tension, and where
It's
do you
true.
lay this thing down to make sure this is going to sit right? Because I
It's
know
true.
even small projects were like, oh my God,
Yeah. No,
trying to
it's true,
string
eh?
things.
Yeah.
So I found that super inspirational.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know the artist. Her name is Oleg. She's
Oh,
a
that
New
maybe
York
rings a
City artist, and that's her thing. Like, she just makes these elaborate crocheted art pieces. And when I was in New York a couple of years ago, we went to one of her shows in like this sort of underground gallery, and she literally like all the furniture was crocheted over.
Wow.
And like there were framed pictures with crochet, and definitely look her up. She's super interesting. And the reason I knew about her is because on one of these, these reality TV shows where they redecorate your room, or
yes.
someone wins this prize, they get a whole new decor in their house, and so one of the they call it like a feature piece in one of these living rooms where this woman had won this contest was a crocheted installation, like a chair or something, or so that was fully crocheted all around and very decorative. So this was like the feature art piece in the room. That's
Yeah.
how I heard about her, and then I
Wow.
looked her up and realized she shows in New York a lot, and we went to see her work, and it was friggin' amazing. I mean, she has
I
helpers. She can't do it all
Yeah.
herself, for sure. She has art assistants that
Yeah.
are helping her crochet.
Still, it's very inspiring that people can take one idea or one obsession even
Yes.
and turn it into something that, I mean, that's always amazed me when I go to these one-of-a-kind shows
Yeah.
or Salon de Métier d'Art. Somebody will sit there and they make the most specific little thing, and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
how did that
Yeah.
just become so mastered that you can make a business off that?
No,
Because
it's true.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you never know what that thing's gonna be, right? That people respond to, like your bites.
Exactly. No, it's true. You just have something that's unique and something that's really reflective of you as well. I think that's it. Like for me, it's because I've always loved to draw, so I think the wire makes sense. And like the crochet, who knows? Like maybe her grandma was crocheting, or there's something in her that's like really pushing her to do it, type of thing. And with regards to sort of art history references, there was a guy in he might still be alive. Christo, do you know Christo? He used to wrap things,
Okay.
and he did some amazing work. And he would, I guess, have a troupe of people helping him, but he would like wrap like an island with canvas and
Oh!
just wrap and tie
Yes, that
them up.
seems
And
to ring a bell.
I'm sure you've seen his work somewhere. And so I remember in one museum, I think it was at the Smithsonian, there's a piece of his on the wall, but it's a tiny little, like 12 by 12 inch piece of wrapped. And it's just like, oh my God, it's precious. It's like, and knowing his ideas and his work, like his touch has been on these huge, massive pieces. And yet there's this little tiny piece of his in the museum, but I think he probably influenced a lot of like fiber artists and things that they do as well. And even with regards to, say, like when you think about that, you think about like wrapped stones and wrapped, wire wrapping is a big thing too.
Yeah. I'm just
definitely.
thinking also, as you're talking about New York a bit, thinking about Banksy
Yes, true.
and his just how spontaneous and political his street art is and how creative.
True, that's right. And actually, it's funny because I have a real affinity to graffiti art. Like,
Okay.
I love that kind of art. And I know there's a lot of it in Montreal for sure.
Yes.
And there's the Mural Festival
Yeah.
and all that. And when it's funny because when I have a lady that buys my camera earrings,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a photographer, and she was one of the first people to document graffiti art, street art.
Wow.
Her name's Martha Cooper, and
Okay.
she wrote a book called Subway Art,
Oh yeah.
and it had a 25th anniversary reprint a couple of years ago, and we went to her book launch in New York.
Okay. Nice.
And she's so sweet. I met her through a friend of hers had bought earrings for her, my camera earrings, and then she tracked me down and ordered a bunch after that. And
Oh.
then when we went to New York, I brought her some,
Nice.
and she gave us a bunch of her books. She signed them. She took us on a tour of like Manhattan and showed us how she
Oh,
documents
wow.
graffiti and
Wow.
all of this stuff. And so
That's amazing.
I know already I was sort of interested in graffiti art, and then this got me even like more interested
Yeah.
in it. And
Wow.
it's just, I mean, it's such an art form now, and a well, respected art form now. At the book launch, there was pieces. It was like a gallery show at the same time, and I remember seeing this big piece. It was like, I don't know, 10 by 15 feet
Mm-hmm.
mural on the wall, but on canvas, and
Mhm.
I think it was like $100,000 for this
Wow.
piece. And I'm thinking, wow, how incredible that it went from an idea to something like so much bigger.
Yes.
Like really
Exactly.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's maybe dig into that a bit, is the whole way that art can become spiritual, or art can become activism, or art is political.
Yes.
It's deeper than, oh, that looks nice.
Yes, definitely.
Isn't that a nice idea? Like, what's your take on art as a
Well, I love conceptual art, and to me, art doesn't have to necessarily look like anything if
Mhm.
there is a message or a concept behind it.
Mhm.
I personally tend to like abstract art, and not necessarily just for the aesthetics of it, but I definitely love art like installations as well. To me, it's anything that reflects the artist's vision is so inspirational. Like I just and a way of communicating. Sometimes it's easier to communicate with images than words even.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm personally not a political artist, and I don't create a lot of conceptual art. Although when I do create conceptual art, it's just for my own fun. It's
Yeah.
just for my own amusement. Like for an example, when I lived downtown, I remember at that time I was actually making a lot more money than I did later. And I had all this cash because we would sell at craft shows and stuff. And I remember one day I had to paint my bathroom. So it's just a tiny little bathroom, downtown apartments, this teeny little tiny bathroom, just a toilet in there. The shower was in the other room, and I had this strange urge to glue money on the floor, and I don't
Oh.
even know where it came from. I have no
Interesting.
idea. It just, the whole idea of artists being compelled to
Yes.
do something, and so I took
Interesting in a bathroom.
I know.
As well.
So I took a stack of 20s and I glued them to the floor.
Wow.
And I varnished it, and then I painted the wall in the bathroom red, like this sort of
Wow.
majestic red with gold trim. And
It's
then
very feng shui.
yeah, I
in
know.
a way.
And I had like this altar,
Wow.
this little altar, like I picked this thing out of the garbage that looked like a table leg or something, but it created this kind of altar thing, and it's the whole idea is like I almost couldn't understand why I did it, but I did it. Like I felt compelled. Oh, and I had done this painting in university that said Pope. Like it was a white abstract painting, and I had found these letters in Toronto at a bazaar, and they were plastic letters, like kind of 3D popped out, like packaging. They looked like they were Smarties. They were Smarties
yeah.
in a package, but they were like letter shaped.
Yep.
And the only letters I could find that made a word were Pope. So I put it was like Pope, and so somehow it strangely fit in the bathroom with this money
Yes.
and all this stuff.
Well,
And
see, but that does already say a lot politically if you want to
exactly.
go there.
Well, exactly, and that's the
Oh
whole
my
thing. Like, it
gosh.
definitely was a political statement, but it wasn't my
Yeah.
intention from the beginning.
Right.
It just kind of evolved
So what
that
did it
way.
come to mean to you when you look at the political side of it? Like what do you think it was saying, even if you didn't mean it
Well,
at
to
the time?
me, I would even say it was less political and more a statement on the materialism of society now.
Yeah.
Because for me, I would have rather, like, this to me was a wiser way to invest my money than to actually buy furniture and decor
Hmm.
for the equivalent or more money. Actually, I probably spent less doing that, but to me, it had more
Yeah,
value,
yeah.
more beauty, more meaning than buying like $1,000 leather couch or what have you. You
Yeah.
know. So it was a real, to me, it was a real statement about consumerism.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I love
definitely.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a really great magazine. I don't know if they still exist, but they're out west. They're called Adbusters.
Oh,
Have you heard of them?
never heard of it.
I think they're self-funded, so they're very anarchistic sort of stuff. But they had one that looked like sort of a Lichtenstein print, a comic girl
Oh yes.
with like her mascara running and tears in it, and it just says, um, "Don't worry, keep shopping,"
Oh jeez.
or something
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
And it's just they make a lot of statements like that.
Yes.
I love that because I think having been around other activist type people, you're out or just thinking about change in general, thinking about what's the most effective way that people are open to new ideas or
Yes.
breaking down their old ones. And I think often people need the buffer of art or fiction or music versus being conked over the head on the news
Exactly.
or by somebody with a pamphlet at the metro.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
more receptive to thinking about the world in a different way if I'm inspired
Yes, definitely.
by some other aesthetic or something I'd never thought of
Yeah, yeah.
than I am by being told.
Exactly. No, I feel the same way, and recently I've been super interested in comedy,
Mm,
and I find
Another
that
good
is
way, yeah.
such an incredible way to express ideas in a way that's borderline politically incorrect, but
Yes.
very important to express ideas.
Yes.
And when you express it through comedy, it's almost like you have that buffer that you can get away with saying things, even
Yes.
though sometimes they're extremely shocking. But usually, even when the subject matter is pretty shocking, it comes across like, because the crowd too, at a comedy show, expects that.
Yeah.
But oh no, I'm just eating it up. I love it so much.
Just like last year when they had SNL, Saturday Night Live, that I forget the name of the actress. She played Sean Spicer,
Oh,
What's her name again?
Yes, Kate McKinnon, is that her?
maybe.
Yeah.
I'm blanking out.
The
But
blonde?
when she actually went out on a motorized podium in Manhattan
Okay.
as Sean
I didn't
Spicer.
see that. No.
Oh.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Did you watch Saturday Night Live? All those Trump spoofs.
Well, I saw the Trump spoofs. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So I mean, that was just so helpful to us. There's art helping us understand or make sense of our feelings around something.
Yeah, definitely.
Alec Baldwin, when he first came out, right after the election, he's like, yes, this is really happening.
Yeah.
This is really happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
he just, in one line on a comedy sketch, embodied how everybody was feeling.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
So, yeah. And just Kimmel, like you mentioned.
yeah.
All
it's
of these
true.
late night talk shows are now more, we trust them more than we trust our news people sometimes.
Definitely. And
So
it's
it's
also
amazing.
a way to do it in a kind of a non-aggressive, non-threatening way. So even people that are for that particular political person
Mm-hmm.
can see it in a different light,
Yes.
without being sort of slapped in the face type of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Not personally judged or something for what they're
Yes.
thinking. They're just, yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And with regards to comedy, the other thing that I've sort of been doing creatively in the last few years is I've started making comics.
Mm.
So I put them on Instagram, and basically they're just kind of just kind of statements about my daily observations and things.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say they ever really get political, but sometimes they get very sarcastic about.
Is it like a strip or is it like a one little?
So they're Instagram comics. So they're
Oh,
basically
okay.
4-panel comics
Okay.
that sort of tell a little story in 4 panels. And the funny story behind that is I just started doing them for fun, like with family and friends. If we'd have a conversation and I found it funny and I wanted to kind of remember it and document it, so I would just take a few still photos and then put little captions on and it would sort of tell the story. And then through the encouragement of a friend, I started sharing them and putting them on Instagram. And then a while went by. I didn't get, a lot of reaction, a little bit. And then one day, I put up a video on YouTube how to make these comics with pic collage, just a little tutorial type of thing. And then one day under this video, on the comments of the video, somebody wrote, your comics have gone viral on Reddit or something. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. It's strange. So I went to Reddit to look up. I think he gave me a link or something, or one of those
Someone
subreddits.
shared it there for you?
Somebody shared some of my comics on Reddit, but they completely bashed them, and they insulted me.
Oh,
and,
no.
And like physical insults, all kinds of stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh no. It was, but Catherine, it was so funny. You know how you could see. I almost kind of put myself back into my 15-year-old self.
Okay.
And I could totally see where these people were finding the humor and sarcasm, like when you tease your teachers or this or that or whatever. Anyways, I split a gut. I was laughing. I was laughing at myself, essentially. And so apparently, the guy that on the video said, you should do an AMA on Reddit, and I didn't know what an AMA was, so I asked him, and basically it means ask me anything, like a Q&A. And so I went on Reddit one night and I said, you guys, you want me to do an AMA? I'm going to do one tonight at 10 o'clock. So I said, okay,
It's
I'll
a
do
live
it.
thing?
I
An
guess it's a
AMA?
live thing.
Uh-huh.
I still at that point wasn't even sure what it was, but and then they started saying, don't let her do it. She's walking into her funeral. It's like, and I'm like, this is curious. I'm starting to wonder. And so at 10 o'clock at night, I got on and I just typed a text to post. I guess the idea of an AMA is you type and then they ask you questions and you just type your answer. And I guess it would be live. And I said, I don't know what an AMA is, but I've been really getting a kick out of your guys' comments and all this stuff. And then I just kind of explained myself. I said, these are comics that aren't necessarily meant to be funny. They're just literally storytelling, telling about my daily life, daily observations. And so I just posted that.
But are they actually photos and then you caption them, or are you drawing them?
The ones that I do are photos.
Okay.
Yeah, they're photo collages.
So they were making fun of you
they were making fun of
your
how
face.
I looked. And,
Ooh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. You gotta have a strong backbone, but
no
hey.
kidding.
So and then
you could learn a lot, I guess.
Oh my God! And then they started. So I posted that, and then I had people starting to respond. I'm so sorry. We didn't know that they were stories. We just didn't understand what they were about. And I feel so bad. And then even some people were saying, one guy said, well, if you did it this way, if you wrote it like this way, it might be look better or make more sense. So I was getting feedback on my comics that I used after the fact to actually improve the aesthetic of the comics as well. And it also taught me to be a little more clearer with how I express myself in the comics too, because I was through what happened with them, I was able to realize that, okay, well, maybe I'm not expressing myself in a way that I get it, but maybe they don't get it. Thing.
It's not always obvious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say that experience, even though it was a little nerve-wracking.
Do you remember what was this first comic that went viral or that they shared?
Well, yeah, there's definitely one comic that went viral. They did share a whole bunch of them, but the one that went viral was one about drinking coffee.
Okay.
And it's so funny. And actually, Mimi, my daughter, used to be in a lot of my comics, but as soon as that happened, she's forget it. You know, I don't want to be in your comics anymore. So I actually deleted all of the comics that had her
Yeah.
in it. And now when I write a comic that she's involved in the conversation, I put a little emoji, like a Bitmoji, like a caricature of her,
Mhm.
which she's cool with, so that's good. And then all the ones of me and her with the photos are in a private account
Okay,
that only we
yeah.
can see. But what was the question?
Wait, what was it about? The one that went
Oh,
viral?
the one, sorry.
Yeah,
So
it's
the
okay.
one that went viral was, so it's me and her, and we'd been to McDonald's, okay, and because we go out for coffee. I don't have I don't have an office, so I do a lot of like working out of cafes and things like that. So we'd been to McDonald's and had a coffee, and so Mimi goes, she said, I had a hot chocolate and a coffee, so she had two drinks, right? And I said, "Oh, you're gonna be so buzzed." So that's panel number 2. Panel number 3 is, she says, "But I mixed them." She makes the hot chocolate and and then at the end I just say, "Yeah, but you ingested them, like you ingested both of them." So it was. I found it funny at the time because she sort of was rationalizing that she wouldn't get buzzed because she mixed them so they weren't as
Right.
strong in caffeine. But to me, it like of course made total no sense. And then we both realized after the fact that the whole conversation didn't make much sense. Anyways, for some reason, this comic appealed to people because it went viral like all
Probably
over.
because you said buzzed. Yeah,
Oh,
I imagine.
maybe that was it.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just taking a guess, but
I don't know. I think just
That's-
the whole.
see, that's the thing that always
ridiculousness of
that
it.
just the thing that just blows your mind. I guess with everybody who's creative, you sit there working hard on something and you scratch your head at what actually people are reacting to because
True.
it's very often nothing you intended that they're picking up on or that they want or
Yeah.
I was watching are you a Monty Python fan?
I used to be, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Because
Yeah.
Netflix just put out just had this documentary on the Monty Python.
Oh, cool.
So they're interviewing all of them and they're talking about their process and it's absolutely zany, these guys.
Wow.
Like, and not knowing who's, what, sorry, somebody's buzzing and I don't know who's buzzing.
Oh.
So, yeah, they also just sat there baffled at their own process.
Oh, amazing. Oh, I
You
gotta,
know?
I gotta watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, because some of the conditions around them making their movie, let's say the Holy Grail,
Yes.
you'd never know it, right? With the finished product, the
Yeah.
hell that they went through making this thing.
Wow.
Apparently, the main guy, Graham something or other.
Is that,
Sorry, is me
Yeah,
coming back
I
early?
don't
which is
think
not-
so. Do you want me to?
So, yeah, so the main guy that plays King Arthur in that, Graham or something or other.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was like a stark raving alcoholic,
Oh, wow.
and he was not remembering any of his lines.
Oh, jeez.
And he wasn't showing up for anything on time. And yet,
Yeah.
I mean, you'd never know because you see the work and he's just this solid, very serious looking, is there anyone else we can speak to?
Yes.
At the castle or whatever.
Oh, that's
And
so funny.
yeah, and they just talking about the way they showed up together, their dynamics.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of sort of X Factor, magic, fate
Mm-hmm.
that goes into a lot of artistic things.
Definitely, yeah.
know?
And another thing that I've been going to recently is improv.
Oh, yeah,
which is
that's
all
another-
about that, which is a whole different ballgame than
Yes.
stand-up comedy.
Yes.
And to me, every time I go, I'm in total awe of what they can do with audience suggestions,
Yes.
like random, just like making up skits on the fly, and
Yes.
oh,
yes.
it's incredible.
I did
Yeah.
some improv class a couple of times, and at first you're intimidated to be around the people with experience, but of course they're the best ones to be around because they're so used to being in the moment and
Yeah.
trusting themselves completely.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's nerve-wracking because you don't know what's going to come out of you spontaneously.
Yeah, true way.
But it was very interesting and therapeutic to do it.
So you enjoyed it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they always, I mean, people can see a lot about us when we're doing these.
Mm-hmm.
So they would always make me try to do something louder
Okay.
and more physical because they
Wow.
could see I was geared
Not
towards the
comfortable
opposite,
with
right?
it. Interesting. Because that's, I mean, I haven't even let my mind go there to want to even try it, but I
Okay.
know one day I probably will. But certainly with regards to just improvising, whenever I do a workshop, it's all about that. Like, especially when I do kids' workshops,
Mm-hmm.
is I used to do a lot of workshops at the libraries just making arts and crafts with kids. And I would go with a theme and
Mm-hmm.
with certain materials, but ultimately the kids would want to do something, you know, a little bit different, or how can I do this, or what can I, and then that's when the ideas flow. Like I found some of those to be my most creative times,
Yeah.
is when you're really improvising to try to make, help somebody create their vision type of thing.
Yeah.
And I just had such a blast doing those workshops. They were really, really fun.
So what do you do or say to people who are blocked? Because um, you know, my line of work, people come when they're at a crossroads or blocked or stuck or overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have a hard time accessing this sense of what would inspire me. They don't know,
Yeah.
or they have a hard time trusting to even get in a flow.
Yeah.
So what do you tend to say to people in that situation? Or
Well, I've certainly had people that have taken my workshops that are real newbies, really
mm,
new beginners, and I think they're often really surprised at what they can do once they have the tools.
mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of it is just having the tools and techniques. Because if you don't realize something's possible, I think you get extremely blocked. But
Yeah,
like, say for example, when I
that's a
do,
good point. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so when I do a watercolor workshop, for example, I don't start, like, I don't bring a picture and say, hey, we're going to do this, you know, because they're going to right away say, whoa, no way I could do that. Usually go with like a sampler of techniques. So they're
Mm-hmm.
basically a bunch of blobs on a paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, we're going to do that. And so we go through each one and I give them the technique and the exactly what they need to do it. So they start with that, doing
Mm-hmm.
something very abstract, very sampley, and then they're more comfortable. They've broken it down a bit and they're able to actually put something together. And it's incredible what people come up with. Like it's, and they surprise themselves. They're just like, whoa, I didn't know I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I see that is being popular recently are these paint nights
Oh yeah.
in bars and
Yeah, I think I've
hotels
seen a bit of that.
and things. And so that's sort of like coming at it from a different angle. Like you do show them what they're going to create to begin with,
Okay.
but you walk them through it step by step. It's like toll painting. I don't know if you ever did toll painting.
No.
So toll painting is basically sort of like a little more sophisticated version of paint by numbers.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so basically you start with a project. The woman that sort of revolutionized that, it's Donna Dewberry.
Okay.
She started this thing called one stroke painting,
Hmm.
which basically she created a whole line of specialty paintbrushes, so tools. And basically she has these techniques that she did. So say you want to do like a flower. So you want to do like these large swoopy petals and then texture in the middle and this and that. So you would take a wide, they call it a fan brush, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically looks
Yeah.
like a fan, and you put paint at like say 3 layers of paint. So you dip the brush once to a certain height, a second time a little less, third
Ah.
time a little less, and then you swoop it, and just in one swoop you make this beautiful
Oh,
petal.
lovely.
So you have this technique to do this,
Ah.
and then so you do your petals, and then you get a different brush called a scrubby brush, and it's like a little sponge, and you dip that in your paint, and then you just push it down a few times, and instantly you've got the middle of your flower. and
Wow.
and so this is a way to for people who don't think they're creative, to actually to be able to create something that's quite beautiful
Yeah.
and realistic. And I remember, even though I have a painting background, I remember really enjoying taking those classes, because it was a different approach to painting. It was less intuitive and more like technique. Yeah. And so I find these paint nights, I think they're using the same concept. So they go through, okay, let's do the background. So everybody mix their color and mix this and this and get, and then ultimately everybody's turns out it's a little bit different depending on, you know, how loosely they paint and all that kind of, so they'll do like a tree with a moon in the back. So they'll, yeah, but I find that super interesting because it makes art accessible to anybody, and then give them a couple glasses of wine while they're just flying.
Yeah. I think one thing you said is important in there about when people don't think something's possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to get any kind of momentum or inspiration if you think it's not possible.
Exactly. It's true.
So, you know, going out to seeing all the things that you've seen
Yeah.
lets us know basic stuff that's possible, but
Yeah.
even like, you know, opens your mind to even more things that are possible that you didn't know.
Yeah, it's true. No,
Oh,
it's
look,
so
we have a little
true.
visitor here.
No, pretty cat.
Mr. Scarlet.
Aw, he's cute.
Yeah, he's a little
Mm.
mascot.
Mm.
He probably wanted to come see you.
He probably knows I'm allergic to him.
Oh, are you?
No,
Oh,
it's okay. I'll survive.
okay.
I have friends with cats, so
Okay, that's
yeah. I grew up with a household of cats, and we always had like 3 at a time. And then when I developed allergies, my mom's like, "Well, good thing you're moving out."
good. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like it was at the end of high school, so I was moving out. So it's
Yeah.
all good. Aw,
So maybe you can tell us a bit about what you've got coming up, maybe that you're offering soon, or how to reach you or
okay,
how
sure.
to find you on YouTube. Anything you want to let us know what you're doing.
Oh, that'd be
coming up.
great. So if you want to see my artwork, our wedding cake toppers and jewelry, so it's on Etsy, and the name of my shop is Heather Boyd Wire,
Mm-hmm.
or you can go to heatherboydwire.com, and there's a link to the Etsy shop. I love my YouTube channel, so if anybody wants to learn how to make wire art and jewelry, it's on YouTube at Heather Boyd Wire. You can join my Facebook group, the Wire Art and Jewelry Makers Club. I'm all over Twitter, Instagram, Heather
Yeah.
Boyd Wire for Wire, Heather Boyd Blog for foodie and out like art and comedy events that I go to, and Heather Boyd Comics for the crazy comics.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, you're an inspiration by all you do.
Oh, thanks, Catherine. It's so fun. I just love sharing ideas like this.
Yeah, it was great, and we'll definitely figure out a way to collaborate between
Yes.
some spiritual or meditation stuff and some art over the summer.
Definitely going to do that. That'll be
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm excited.
Yay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.